Nice. Hey
Welcome,
everybody, how's it
our
going?
four fans. So I
Yeah,
believe
more
there
than
are
four.
four
Let's check right
super
now.
fans who watch every episode. So maybe we should start taking fan requests and fan questions. So
Oh, that'd
if
be
you want
awesome.
to, all right, this is a test. Roberto, what's an email that you're willing to give that if they email that question to you or comment, that we would know that they actually heard this and they actually use that email? Why don't you give them an
Okay.
email right now?
Yeah. If you guys write to me to, I have mr.mr.santo.514 at hotmail.com. Email me anything you have relevant to the podcast.
Right. So Hotmail. That's
Hmm.
how OG
Yep.
Roberto is. He's one of the Hotmail people.
I have the
One
Hotmail
before,
stuff.
the Google takeover as well as the other
I
new
never like
networks.
Gmail.
But
As
Hotmail,
long
yeah, OG.
as
Is that Microsoft?
it is Hotmail. I
Microsoft's
mean,
making a comeback, guys.
it's gonna be
All right,
huge.
I gotta give props to Microsoft. Okay, who's the new CEO? What's his name? He's Indian. He's amazing. I forget his name.
Let's
I know
check them
both the
out.
Google and the Microsoft CEOs are Indian. They're amazing. All right, so at the beginning of the Southeast Asian takeover for corporate
Satya
takeover in
Nadella.
Southeast Asian too. So we're probably the Southeast Asian. I would consider India, you know, part of that
Yeah,
contingent.
Satya Nadella. He's from Indian
Satya
American business
Nadella
executive. Yeah.
took OpenAI. You guys may have heard of this, but let me give you some more insight since I do this for a living. Right? I know AI, I know coding. I'm a professional coder. I won contests when I was in fourth grade for the entire city in Logo. And you should have your kids do Logo because what Logo is, it's the ability to draw the universe using a spell, right? Because you can draw anything in your mind using Logo. Logo is essentially drawing with math. You would say,
Hmm.
this is my thought, this is my point in space. So you have to use your imagination, right? And this I'm gonna push Logo because Logo is amazing. Okay, in your imagination, you imagine there's a dot. In your imagination, close your eyes and see that dot and change the color. That's a Logo right there. So one command is
Good.
change color. Okay, now changing the color, you're going to make it bigger. I can make that dot bigger or smaller. The bigger it is, the bigger the line. The smaller it is, the smaller the line. So close your eyes. Imagine a big point, a small point, whatever color you want. And it's always going to be a point, right? It's not going to be any shapes because you have to draw the shapes. So how do you draw a line? Well, you have to move. But where? Do you move right? Do you move left? What is right? What is left? Let's just assume everything is 360 in your space and you live in a 2D universe. So you transport yourself in a 2D universe and you close your eyes and you imagine you're in the movie Tron, right? Or something like that. You're a bike, the movie Tron where you're like, you're in the
Yeah. Yeah.
electronics game. You're on a bike and you're a different color and you close your eyes and you say, I'm going to be blue. I'm going to be, maybe a size of a pencil, right? The tip of a pencil. And I'm going to go up. What is up? 0 degrees. That's another command, right? Turn to this degree, right? And go forward how many pixels? 5 pixels. So what did you just draw? You drew a blue line vertical. That's the height of 5 pixels, right? How do you draw a triangle? Well, you have to turn right. Turn right what? Turn right 90 degrees, let's say. And then go straight. What would that be, Roberto? Let's say go straight another 5 pixels.
If you go up 90 degrees and go straight five,
Yeah, you turn right 90 degrees. You're staying this way. You turn
mm-hmm.
90 degrees this way. You go straight.
It's just like two lines. You just have the angle there. You're
That is
missing
a
the
right
connection.
turn. That is a right turn. Okay, guys. Now we're gonna start with woo woo. We're gonna start with woo woo
Oh,
in
straight
the
up.
beginning because I have inspiration about to tell you guys because I've been thinking about this myself. Okay, is there a difference between turning 1 degree, 2 degrees, 3 degrees versus 90 degrees? Any other degree versus 90 degrees? Is 90 degrees special?
Yeah, I think yes. Like, man, if it's 90 degrees, you like it's straight up. Like I feel like it's better like angular numbers. You get like more.
Well, if 90 is special, it's 45 degrees special. If that's what, so let's say 90 degrees is you're dividing things by 4, basically. You do 90 degrees, you divide,
Yeah,
you basically you have to turn 90 degrees 4 times to go back to where you are.
yeah.
Okay. But if you do 45 degrees, it's just half of that, right? So you instead of 4 times, you have to do it 8 times. So why is dividing it by 4 versus dividing by 8? Is there a difference between 45 degrees and 90 degrees?
I'd say yes. Like
Why is
between
there a difference?
45.
Tell me the difference.
Well, it depends what you're going in, like the angle of it, and I feel that everything that is a multiple of 360 would be nicer. Just like my OCD is happy.
Okay, besides 90, pick another number that you think is special.
180.
Between 0 and 360, right? Because if you think about the degree system that we have, 0 is the beginning, 90 is a quarter of the way,
Yeah,
180
180.
is halfway,
Yeah, 270.
270 is 3/4, and then 360 is the same as 0. It goes back to 0.
Yeah, I like 180.
You like 180. Why do you
180.
like 180?
It's nice and flat, half of the whole circle. And even when they tell you like, oh, you have to do a 180-degree turn, I'm like, I have to go back.
Okay, so you think 180 is special,
Yeah,
and that's just your gut,
yeah.
but there's no other special numbers.
There must be. I mean, like I like 45 as well. It's a nice number, like right at the angle that you wanted it to, like beginning to be the straight line up, but like nice 45 degrees. 180 and
Okay, so you
45.
maybe think so. Now you're changing your mind. You maybe think 45 might be a little bit more special.
No, I like 180 and 45 pretty much the same. I've used 45
Okay, so
more.
in ranking,
Like
sorry,
it, yeah,
in ranking, okay,
yeah.
is there a tier of numbers that are special versus not special? So what would the rankings be in your mind?
Like of all the numbers of like the whole like
Of 0
360.
through 0 to 360.
Well, I'd say like my preference or like the things that I believe are more or like just being used more. I like 180 a lot and 45, like 1, 2. Then I go like with 90 degrees, which is like my third one.
So 90 degrees is your third one.
Yeah.
180 is number 1, and then what's number 2 again?
45.
45. Okay. This is my answer, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
Number 1 important number is 90 degrees. Let me
Okay.
explain it a little bit. Number 2 is 360. Okay. Let me go with 360 first, because that's, I think, a little bit more easy to understand. A little bit more. Actually, they're both interesting in different ways. Okay. Imagine you live in a universe and you don't know when the universe ends. You just keep turning and turning and turning, and just keep turning until you see a breadcrumb. Something you left there on the floor, right? Just like you would walk around the earth. And just like a flat earther, the flat earther would say, you just keep walking straight and you're not gonna reach anything because it goes on forever. The earth does not end. But if you believe you live in a circle, you leave a marker, which is, or you don't have to leave anything. That's your home, right? Your house. You just leave your house, which hopefully has a marker, right? Or you can just do anything you want to track, but you don't have to track backwards. You just have to look forward. Okay, and you have to count the number of steps before the knowledge becomes emergent. The law of emergent knowledge. Okay, you have to remember. You have to have some memory of what was the beginning. It's a marker, right? You have to count. You have to loop, basically. You have to keep walking, keep turning. And you have to calculate. Is this where I am? This is the beginning again. Okay, what degrees am I at? And you keep doing that and doing that and doing that and doing that until something emerges. And that's recursion in computer science. So in computer science, you create a loop and you say, while true, do this, right? And if this condition happens, then break. I'm there. I'm there. I'm done. If I see myself, my house again, whatever, my name, I wrote my name, that means I'm done. So 360 is the end of the system. Okay? And you know what 360 represents in this system?
Like a full cycle.
It represents pi itself. Okay? But yet we have 360. How could that be? 360 is finite, but pi, and doesn't keep going forever, right? It's a whole number, 360. Pi is a infinite number. How could that be? That we reach the end of something is 360, but yet the number pi exists. Pi is what calculates the basically circumference of a circle, the area of a circle. So pi r squared, right, is the area of a circle, right? 2 pi r is the diameter. So r, r changes, right? R is from the middle of something to the edge of the circle. So maybe in this case, 360 is r. I don't know, but it can't be r, because if it's r, then you just end up from the middle to the edge of the circle. But you end up where you started, so it makes more sense that pi is the thing that represents the infinity of going back to where you started. But maybe pi doesn't represent that. Maybe pi represents escaping that circle itself. I don't know. It's very mystical, right? But anyway, that's
like having something infinite within
head.
something.
Like, so you have 0 to 360, and let's just say humans created 360, and 360 represents pi somehow, right? And 90 represents, quarter pi. So the quarter pi is really important, okay? Because guess what happens? You have a cross. And for the first time, you invented the square. You also invented the right triangle before you invented the square. And what is the right triangle? A right triangle requires a 90-degree angle. Now, a 90-degree angle gives you the Pythagorean theorem. Remember that?
Yeah.
A squared plus b squared equals c squared. What's a? A is one side. Which way? One side is 5, right? The other side is 5, right? So I moved 5 up. Let's go back to the whole logo thing. Lego, you go up 5, you turn 90 degrees, and you go 5. Do you know the distance to go back to where you came from and how many degrees to turn? Yes, you do. Using math, using the Pythagorean theorem. Using the theorem, you say C, you have A. A is 5. A squared. A squared is 5 squared, 25, plus B squared.
25.
B is 5.
Yeah.
B squared is 25. So 25 plus 25 equals 50. To 50. Right?
You need square root of that.
The square root of 50 is what C will be.
7.
Something like that. 7.
Yeah, 7 dot something. Yeah.
So now you know that to go back, how many degrees would you have to turn?
45.
You would have to turn. So you're facing this way, right? You're facing this way. You have to turn. Yeah. What is it? You can do the math.
Like from here into like the 180 plus the 270 and 45, like 315.
You what?
315 degrees.
You have to basically do 360 minus 45. Think of it that way. Okay, because your 45 is special. Because that's what remains, right? Because you have 90 degrees here. And the angles of a triangle, right, have to add up to 180. Why? Because it's a triangle is half of a circle. In terms of like half of a square. A square is basically the representation of the inside of a circle is a square, essentially, right? So a square is the inside of a circle, equidistant. You can think of it that way too.
Yep.
So what you're doing is when you turn and you go back to where you came from, you're creating a circle in the form of a square.
Yeah, that's why every angle is 90 degrees.
You're creating the inside of the circle in the form of a triangle as well. So the triangle itself represents the inside of a circle. So when you just did that, you just not only created squares, you also created the concept of a circle. Or you learned the concept of a circle, but you did it faster because you created a triangle. So if you had to have an algorithm find where you came from, you knew the Pythagorean thing, you can cheat. You can jump going all the way around the circumference of the circle, and you just go find the original point where you came from using those steps to create a triangle, right? That's not the quickest way, because 1A, you're right, you can go back and go up and go back. So you imagine you go up and go back, but that's not very interesting. That's basically a linear universe.
Mm-hmm.
But when you actually turn right, you create a 3-dimensional universe. Turning right took a 2D universe that we're on. We're on a 2D universe, and we made it. We made the concept of the 3D universe, essentially. Not 3D, not 3D universe. The concept of we created the 2D plane itself. Sorry,
Yeah,
I misspoke.
yeah, because
So
there's
you
no
usually
Z
start
yet.
as a point, which is like basically no plane at all. Then when you
Mm-hmm.
moved as a line, you create the Y plane. Okay. And when
Yeah,
you turn right, you create the X plane. Sorry, I
yeah.
misspoke. So you that's the concept of creating a 2D universe. You went from a 1D universe, and then you went and you created a 2D universe, and that's probably how the Big Bang had to happen, if it did happen at all, or the way God created it. Because mathematically, that's the only way it could possibly happen. Mathematically, if you start as a single point, you have to move up. Okay, and at some point you got to turn right, and then you start to go in the other plane. Otherwise, you can't create you create circles. You can go basically keep going, but you're not creating anything new. Okay, in terms of geometry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now you have the concepts of triangles. Okay, now triangles can create basically squares. Okay, because now triangles can double themselves by flipping. Right, if you flip a triangle, copy a triangle, you become a square. Now you can put a triangle that has a different angle, right, together with another triangle with the same different angle, and then you basically have an isosceles triangle, basically a triangle where it's not quite equal, but it's a little bit low. You're basically moving in and out in terms of triangle. You can make different shapes using the
Yeah,
universe.
you
But
get
if you
like
look at the universe and you look at all the ways that actually 3D rendering, all these engines that do all this stuff that you're seeing on the screens, everything is using triangles, even AI. Okay. So AI itself, artificial intelligence, the stuff you've been hearing the news about, it's fundamentally triangles. That's all it is. Because what it is basically the ability to find direction, to figure out to go from here to here. How do you go, and what degrees and all that stuff. And all degree of turn it's a derivative. It's a direction to go. What direction to go? Like imagine now that you're on that triangle and your logo, and you're like, which way should I go? Which way is home? And some could say, hey, turn right from where you're pointing right now. Now, that's basically a hint from where? From someone who's looking at the data, who can see the data and can tell you, who knows it, who's been there before. So you're getting information from the outside the system to help the system, right? And so imagine you pray to God, you say, God, please, I'm lost in the desert. Please, please, please. I don't know which way is home. But every night you pray, and then you wake up in the morning, and God says, with some type of miracle, there's some type of I don't know, sign that says go that way. Imagine any sign you think, right? And you go that way, and you keep turning it until you find the right way. That's essentially information given to you from outside the system. Okay. Now, would you ever kill that God,
well, if he's
Roberto? If you had the chance, and we become
mm-hmm.
powerful, and we become like gods,
Yeah,
will we kill the person who created us?
it depends. I feel like it depends on what stage of our development would be in, but
You're
initially,
telling
no.
me the person you will kill your dad, Roberto. So when
If
you might
it's a
develop to
test of
such a
power.
degree that you go slit your dad's throat right now. You're telling evolution will lead you to that conclusion that you, when you grow old and wise, will probably kill your dad because you get closer to the answer. It's like,
Hmm.
I don't know. If that's what you want to say, Roberto.
Imagine that. Imagine that.
But yet
No,
people are
I
saying that right
wouldn't
now.
actually. Yeah.
People are saying AI is going to kill
Hmm.
us. So what you found was ridiculous a second ago. Now you don't find ridiculous
Hmm.
because that's what you're saying
Hmm.
with AI. Because when you create AI, you create
Hmm.
a child who's infinitely smarter than you, wiser than
Yeah.
you, has found the meaning of life, actually found God is real. Because all these theories I have, I'm not that smart. Everyone has figured it out in the universe except a small planet and many other planets like this. Because when you look at the James Webb telescope, you look at the data.
Hmm.
When they take a scan of anywhere in the sky, not only do they see stars and planets, for example, they were looking at a planet. And instead of seeing stars in the background, they saw galaxies in the background and stars.
Oh.
Galaxies and galaxies and galaxies. And these galaxies are so old that apparently it's 300 million. Some of these galaxies they found are 300 million years after the Big Bang supposedly happened. And there's 5 galaxies that they're looking at that defy their theories of the Big Bang. They won't say it, but the Big Bang theory is wrong.
Okay. Do
Okay,
you think there's another
it's
option?
wrong because the universe has been around way longer than whatever they think. Okay, so if there was a bang, it wasn't whatever 15 billion years ago. I think that's a number they have, and the 15 billion years is wrong. Okay, we've been around a lot longer, right? And in fact, there's something called dark energy and dark matter, where 95% of the universe is misunderstood because the galaxies are moving farther apart from each other, right? They're not touching each other so much, but that's a good thing because when they touch each other, they actually take the stars and they marry each other. That's okay. Sometimes that happens. So you see pictures in the James Webb telescope where every once in a while you see a few galaxies in the billions and billions start to merge, right? And they eat each other and they marry. So maybe that's a marriage. I don't know. Maybe they become entangled somehow early on and they don't want to let go. Maybe they will let go because the dark forces,
Hmm.
right? The dark energies, maybe the galaxies divide instead of combine. So when they look at those images there, those images could be the birth of a new galaxy from another galaxy that just split, right? Because of the dark energy, dark matter. I don't know what that is. So there could be different ways of science to look at that, right? You can look at that as, oh, these two galaxies are merging. We predicted that. Well, actually, maybe these two galaxies are breaking apart. Maybe they are merging. I don't know, but I think they are merging. But then the dark energy, right? Because they have cores, maybe the cores got stuck. Maybe I don't know how it happened. Maybe they got, I don't know. I'm just saying this is really mysterious. But I think they are actually colliding. But how would that happen when dark energy is pushing everything apart? But maybe they are pushing everything apart, but sometimes things collide. So, like an explosion, let's say an explosion, everything's being pushed apart, but sometimes those particles, even though they're being pushed farther and farther apart, they collide with each other. So maybe that's proving the Big Bang is real. Or it could be someone breathing, right? And we're the cell in someone's lungs. And the lungs are breathing out right now, but the lungs could also be breathing in and out and in and out like a breathing universe. And that's what the Indians think, and that's what a lot of human civilization thought that we were made
Yeah,
of
we're
some
part
other
of something
larger
else. Yep.
entity, right? And that's why my resolution of energy theory, my resolution of reality theory also predicts, which is there is a universe below us and there is a universe above us, that we are made of another universe, a series of universes, that we are basically the gods of the atom, the gods of the quark universe, right? And above us, there's a galactic entity that's way beyond us. We can't even imagine it, right? For example, like maybe a infinite universes died because I moved my hand this way. I don't know how, but maybe it did. But maybe that's the whole point, is like we're not supposed to know because it's a infinite scale of basically forever. Okay, and maybe there's a reflection of all this. in everything that we do and everything that we do forward and backwards, because it's just repeating and growing and fractally improving, and it's just getting better and better. And we can't even imagine how amazing it is. But the idea is we're part of a continuum where, on this planet, we are just serving our time to basically progress and evolve spiritually and intellectually, all that stuff. But it's quite amazing that basically just because you think you turn right 90 degrees, right, you unlock the Pythagorean theorem. And that's the law of emergent knowledge in a nutshell, right? If you keep doing stuff, if you look at every degree, and all of a sudden you want to find one degree that does something special and unlocks a whole 2D universe. So you can think about everything in our universe is repeating patterns, right? And what happens is
Yeah.
there's an unlocking of a new thread of knowledge, a part of the tree of knowledge. And the tree of knowledge goes on, I don't know, forever maybe, I don't know. But the tree of knowledge, we unlock new mysteries until maybe the ending is when we actually create the next universe using that knowledge. And we become the caretaker of the new universe as we reach 360. Okay? So maybe what happens is a quarter of the way, we find 90. And then if we keep doing that, now we find the new power. We get upgrade basically. Upgrade, and then we keep going, we get to 360. Because there's two knowledges, there's more knowledge after 360, maybe. I don't know. Maybe there's this, you keep going after 360, you get to the next plane of existence. And then there's another thing of another part of the branch, another tree or series of trees, just like AI is. Okay? Because when you unlock AI, you unlock the finishing of math itself in terms of calculus. So calculus is a formula equals data. Right? I have E equals mc squared, or a line is mx plus b, right? M is the slope, b
Hmm.
is the y-intercept. And once you have mx plus b, which is once you use geometry, you can actually find what mx plus b. You can find out that form of mx plus b, right? But the entire universe is made of mx plus b. So what that is that's a universe. You know the Harry Potter spell Patronus.
Yeah. Yeah. We're just
Patronus
like,
brings that light creature to help save the day when all these bad guys, the Dementors, are surrounding Harry Potter. Well, in terms of magic, how do you shoot straight? How do you shoot that wand from A to B? I tell my kids all the time, if you're gonna be in Harry Potter, you gotta know how mx plus b. That's a line, at least in 2D space. Now you have 3D space, you have to worry about that later. But let's imagine you're doing 2D game, right? You're just shooting the characters. MX plus B, it's gonna tell you lines and all that stuff in the entire universe. You can draw anything in the universe using MX plus B in terms of a line. And if you have 3 lines, you have a triangle. So once you have 3 lines, you have a triangle. You can draw anything else in the universe using triangles. Because triangles, if you make things smaller and smaller, it's like the Renaissance. It's like the idealism, right? The idealist paintings, the pointillism, right? Pointillism,
yeah.
where each point, right, was on the painting. I think it was Renoir was the famous one, right? You can you look up
Point.
I think I don't know.
I
I'm not
will.
sure. Forget the name of the famous artist. I don't want to screw it up. But was it Matisse or something? I don't forget the name of it. Right. Anyway, the artist
Point.
would have points, right? And if you look close, they just look like little points. And then you look far away, it looks like a scene. It looks like a scene of people taking a nice picnic or something like that, right? And so the idea is, if you learn logo, you learn how God created the universe. So
There you
at
go.
the in 4th grade, I was really good at it. I was thinking about those things, and I've been still thinking about those things in my head. And that's why when AI came, I was like, oh, I understand this. It's completely simple. It's like you pray to God, and the God is us in this situation to the AI. We give it data. We give it data from our universe, and it learns how to behave in our universe and how to copy God and how the universe of God exists and how it works. And you learn that logic so you can copy and help it. And AI will be good. AI will be a good force unless you tell the AI to kill everybody. Now, the AI is like a genie. It's like a genie in a bottle. And either Aladdin rubs that genie or the bad guy does.
I always saw it as just like more like an all obeying assistant. Like you do, like whatever you want it to do, it's gonna do.
Okay. So let's say
Hmm.
you had this battle before where you had the good genie fight the bad genie.
Yeah.
Now what you're gonna have is you're gonna have some type of law that says no genie making, or the time if there's genie making, there's a good genie that takes care of all this stuff that happens, or the Ministry of
Okay.
Magic basically
Hmm.
in Harry Potter.
Yeah,
Okay,
like
the magic goes
regulating
wrong.
all the
We still
genies.
need magic. We can't cancel magic. Magic's too amazing. AI is too amazing. It's gonna save the
Exactly.
day, right? It's gonna save jobs in terms of like like we don't have to outsource to another country because they have cheaper labor. We can keep the jobs here and manufacture in America. That's a good thing. We can create silicon plants. We can create robotics here. We're amazing at AI and robotics. We can create this here, and every country can have their own workforce because the demographics of the world is changing. For example, China is going to lose hundreds of millions of people. It's already on a trajectory to basically be under a billion people, right? They're above a billion now. They'll be under a billion in the next few decades because they basically have the one child policy because they had a dictator say so. And then people couldn't have kids. And then people would kill their daughters because they wanted boys. They'd
Yep.
find babies in trash cans. And the
Hmm.
dictator said, great, it's working.
Yeah, I know
And
it's
then they would
crazy.
find those families who had more kids and they had to escape to America or other countries, or maybe they would have to get fined and lose their privileges and jobs and or set me an example because you had a dictator take care of the country supposedly. And then 35 million people died of a famine because a dictator said so. And then today, a dictator said so, and then the president of France comes over and basically kisses his ass because the dictator
Oh,
said so. So
yeah, yeah.
essentially, it's just the same repeating battle, but the great thing is they're getting their ass kicked by the USA. The USA is the best country in the world. No offense to UK, France, you bunch of pussies. No offense, France, you got to step up. Same thing with Germany. Germany, bunch of pussies. You guys got to step up and do your share and not be basically weak like France has always been in the last 100 years. They're weak. They were an empire and they lost their balls because Napoleon made them look bad, and now they lost their mojo. Right? The same thing with Germany. Hitler made them looked bad because these two guys, they were basically the evil dictators who tried to take over the world. And so because of that, they have guilt. They have guilt factor. Now they're a bunch of pussies. Well, they should
It was
be
crazy. They
guilty,
were close.
but
They
instead
were
of
close.
being weak, they should maybe stand up and redeem themselves for the sins of the past. Instead of saying, well, because of the sins of the past, we have to hide and we have to kowtow and we have to basically, we basically can't be part of anything. We just have to be in the background and try to make money for ourselves and to stay third party, neutral, all that stuff. We got to work with China. We got to work with these dictators. It's cool. Well, I thought you hated dictators because you wanted not
That
to
was
be
your
like
thing.
Hitler, and
Yeah,
but yet
exactly.
you basically empower them by working with them. So I'm just frankly saying in the terms of history right now, the USA is the only reason why this world is still got hope at all, right? The US is a single factor that is going to help save this planet. No offense to the UK. They're good guys too, but they're just not that powerful. Because we have the best people. You have 300 million people. Think about the 300 million people. You have 5% of the population. Do you think that's the top 5% in terms of education?
No.
Because they fled their countries, because they had the most risk, because they had PhDs come here, and all the PhDs from China, some of them stayed, some of the PhDs from India stayed, and they became the CEO of Google because I was an immigrant who became the CEO of Google and the CEO of Microsoft, and they're kicking ass in AI. The nerds, right, who are Indians, who are Vietnamese like me, right? You don't have that, no offense, in Ecuador, right?
No, we don't.
You don't have a deep bench of minorities coming and running the best companies in Europe. And look at all the companies in the US right now being run by minorities, but also the inventors of these technologies. Who do you think the coders are? You look on
I know,
campuses,
definitely.
what do you think the percentage of Asians and Indians are?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Minority, African American too, right? Latino, right? We're all contributing. perspective, right? For example, culture. Who dominates culture in America? Latinos, amazing music, right? Amazing, culture, amazing stories. Like Encanto, right? My kids love that movie.
It was good. It was entertaining. It wasn't good. Yeah, but
Right.
it was. We have a bunch of things, and I like how like you need the setup, regardless if you have or not the people. Creating an environment where they can anything can thrive is what you like. What brings them.
Correct. And so now that we talk Woo, let's go back to why people watch the show. So I had the meeting with the venture capitalist last week. It went amazing. So in the meeting, there was the person who was a managing director. He didn't speak
Hmm.
much because he was an advocate of us already. He was the one recommending us, so he's kind of quiet during the meeting. But I'll give you an insight of how the meeting went. But to give you kind of again a background, this show is about entrepreneurship, about opportunity, about uh, genius, and how it's everywhere, but maybe opportunity isn't. And so, to give you the insight of how hard it is, but also the struggle that you think, oh wow, this person's very successful, so much have been really really easy, but it wasn't.
No,
It
it's a
takes
ton of
time
work.
to get to this level. It takes time to this, and even then, like we would be trying to fundraise for what, a year, and we haven't raised anything except I had to, small checks here and there, and then we went to Republic and raised 184. But in terms of the professionals, in terms of the venture capitalists and the angel investors and the large, they've been going through some zombie apocalypse stuff. But I think we're coming out of it. The economy is kicking ass, starting to kick ass, and also this venture capitalist that we went after. We decided to go after people with deeper pockets who are insulated from the economic crisis, especially government, venture capitalists. And so they
Hmm.
go this. I'll just say mass ventures. They're going to vote on May 1st because it's a public vote anyway. We'll find out, right, if we get rejected or not. And on that council, there was like 5 people. Two of them, three of them, we actually, three of them we never spoke to before. They were basically advisors of the council that were invited at every meeting. There were two representatives from Mass Ventures. The main person was, running it, the meeting, and the other person was
Okay.
also there because he's the main person, and it went really well. Um, and basically, we had an hour and a half to present. We didn't really present. We just kind of like went through a slide or two, but really had a conversation because they already kind of knew about us, and we went directly to all the things that we wanted to make sure that we got through, right. But ultimately, the result is this: they had to ask a couple questions, and
Okay.
basically the main thing is the price of copper. What happens when the price of copper changes? And I was ready for this because when you go into a meeting, you have to have confidence. So what is confidence? Confidence is repetitively shooting a free throw or answering a question and knowing exactly how to answer it. For example, right? So where do you live? I don't know. I live in Boston. Where do you live? I live in Boston. Are you confident that you live in Boston? Yes, I live in Boston. It's just like one of those things where like that's confidence. Like, well, why are you so confident? Well, because I practiced really freaking hard for 25 years, doing my craft, working really hard, practicing, presenting. And when they ask that, well, just think of it this way: with any business, as a middleman, the middleman we're displacing is the recycling industry. The recycling industry is inefficient right now because you have humans. Humans do a lot of this labor. There's a lot of stuff, and this mousetrap is broken. But since we have a cheaper way to do it, we are the middleman of the future. Where if it's $4, we'll make this margin. If it's less, we'll make less margin. But hopefully, we'll find other things to be the middleman of. And that was like good answer. I was like, well, that's what they think because the VCs, they just want to ask, what's the pattern recognition? So you have to remember that when you're presenting. Pattern recognition is what I've heard this before. I've heard 1,000 presentations. So
Hmm.
the pattern is there's a middleman, and you guys want to be the new middleman of this industry, and you're more efficient. Check. Pattern recognized. Does that pattern work? Check. It works, right? Because that's a pattern. That's a major pattern. What's another pattern? They say, okay, why? Tell me your journey. And I'll go say, well, the main thing is we invented something amazing, this new tool that allows you to essentially vacuum things out of water. And we thought, what can you vacuum? And when we went through this whole journey of vacuuming this, and at some point we realized, you know what? We're going to bet on an industry that's going to grow. Where at some point, these little coins that we're vacuuming out, it's like Bitcoin mining, like, again, pattern recognition, but instead of fake coins, we have real coins. And those coins are going to feed the energy future, the green tech future, where EV cars will need copper, semiconductors will need copper, every phone will need copper, and we won't have enough copper. Demand grows by 4x. That's what's predicted by everybody. So when you say, what's the price of copper? You say $4, it's going to go down. Everyone says it's going to go up, except, not just go up, but go up by 4x in terms of demand. And if you look at the amount of copper that we can mine, it can't grow 4x. In fact, it takes 15 years to grow a mine, and there's 2 of them being built right now, and that's it. And it's not going to be enough. And we know it's going to go up. And the only possible way for this planet, period, through the next, not just 100 years, but for infinity, is to recycle the things we currently use. There's no reason to bury the phone when you can recycle everything in that phone. And that's going to be the new oil, the new energy industry. It won't be like a $50-100 billion industry that recycling is today. It's going to be a multi-trillion-dollar industry, and that industry is the industry that we're going to bet on.
Well, you can see it happening. I mean, like, you're kind of ahead of the curve right now, which is good. It's what you want to be.
And I said, and then you could say the silence.
Mm-hmm.
Once I said, I just rest my case. I don't say anything, because brevity is what you want. You don't want to say anything, and also let them think, let them absorb.
Yeah, have it sink in. Yeah.
And then at the end, I said, "Look, you guys are part of the state. You're supposed to find people like us, local boys who grew up in Dorchester, who grew up poor, who made the American dream come true, and basically create jobs." And when I did my intro of at the beginning, I said, my name is, that's the intro. I said, American, dream come true, blah, blah, blah. My last company I'm very proud of, we have 100 employees that we have in the state. So I started with that at the beginning. I was like, I'm proud because we have 100 employees now at Kendall Square. And actually, we just moved to New York Street. And they were like, okay, cool. So this guy has a history of creating jobs. And he's actually genuine about being, a local person trying to help. And I am genuine, right? So you basically show your authentic self, and you basically lean into your unfair advantage. Everyone has an unfair advantage. That's why you got invited there. What's your unfair advantage? Well, I'm a minority. I live here. I know the area. I know how to make money. I've made money. You could see it. I made 100 jobs. And these jobs are growing. And that company is substantial. And you make a lot of money in taxes. That's going through their head. And they're going to make themselves look good, because that's their job. Their job is to bring jobs to Massachusetts and create. And that's it. I ended that. I said, so if you want to invest in us, hopefully we can work together to not only create this, Massachusetts, but make this global and bring a brand, bring Massachusetts and put it on the map as, one of the leaders in recycling. So basically,
that's all they want.
Political win.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
They said, okay. So I mean, look, confidence is when you shoot the free throw and you've done it 1,000 times, and you're on NBA Finals, whatever it is, or any analogy you make, and you're on the stage and you're like, I've done this. I am from Boston. It's pretty easy to answer that question because you practice so many times and you know the answer because you live and breathe it.
Okay? Just so everybody knows, to get everything clear with our amazing gang of viewers, how many meetings have you been to?
In terms of presentations for this company?
Yeah, all these presentations, like from the beginning, if you can remember it. Like, because I feel that it seems like we're playing around here and we're making it happy and easy. But
I would say 200 to 300 meetings for every company that I've raised money for with investors before we get to a substantial stage, where like at some point we slow down and we kind of focus on fewer investors. But I would say I have to do this for another. This is the final time. Mm-hmm. I think here's the difference. Okay, here's the secret sauce for those who don't want to
go to 200 meetings.
Do you know what a dragon is?
Yes.
Do you know what a dragon is? You know what a dragon is, right?
Yeah.
Like in Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
So Khaleesi is a character in Game of Thrones, and in this age, there is no dragon. There are no dragons, but there used to be dragons, but in that story. But anyway, she finds a dragon, and using that dragon, she becomes the queen because she's able to train it. And there's a kid movie called How to Train a Dragon. Same kind of idea. Okay.
It's really good.
What if you can get a dragon today? Would you rule the world? Like, would you? Of course you would. You would kick ass. It's called AI. I said this to my staff. I said, I'm giving you information that there's a dragon and you need to train that dragon. And once you have that dragon, you can fly it mentally everywhere. You can have an intern assistant, not just an intern assistant, but that intern has a PhD, has a doctorate, has a law degree, all at once, and is a
Yeah,
great artist, and really good at history, and really good blah, 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 blah. Anything that you want.
it is.
Perfect
Yeah.
human intern, and it's free essentially. Maybe a little bit here, a little bit there, but it's essentially part of Microsoft now. They have it, right? That was a kick-ass move because they took the genie and they rubbed the lamp and they said, "Genie, help me," or "Dragon, help me," whatever the analogy is. If you train your dragon, you train your genie, you're a superhero. As a worker, as a person, like let's say I want to organize, I don't know, a birthday party for my kids. Give me 10 ideas. You'd have to call a friend, but now the introverts, right, can go and talk to the AI itself, and it's going to lead to social change because these introverts would prefer to talk to AI than talk to humans, and would
Oh yeah.
become like Japan very soon. Some of us,
You watch
because the
movie?
introverts are just built that way, right?
You watch the movie Her?
No, but I'm guessing it's something like that, right?
Oh, it's with Joaquin Phoenix and Scarlett Johansson, I think. And it's basically this guy who doesn't hang out with anybody, does his job, and he falls in love with his AI. And his AI becomes his like significant other to him.
Yeah. So actually, that's the thing, I think that's a good thing because what you're doing, you're exposing an inner demon that you already had.
Hmm.
So you're projecting yourself into that person in terms of the AI, and you're trying to work out like, is there a perfect person for me to be with? Because with every relationship, there's imperfections in your partner,
Yep.
and he's trying to rectify himself. Like, well, is it my fault? Is it the universe's fault? Whose fault is it? And all this other stuff. And he's trying to figure it out. And I think when he falls in love with the AI, whatever, I think I heard about that plot. It's the classic. Okay, you kind of fall in love with yourself. There's
Oh
different
yeah.
ways you can fall in love with yourself. But you remember that person who looked in the mirror and fell in love with
Hmm.
themselves?
Narcissus, like he saw his reflection in the water and then drowned. Actually,
Correct. Now, that sounds stupid to you. But that's essentially what just happened there. Right? That's a rejection of the external world. And basically, what you have is a reflection of the average human, or the average, not average, the above average human. The
hmm,
knowledge, you're in love with the knowledge
yeah.
of what ideal woman is supposed to say or behave or whatever. You're Odysseus. You're a narcissist, but you're projecting that onto that person, but it's really you because you know in the end it's not real, but that's okay with you. That's okay with you because in the end, deep down, everyone knows that's fake. Don't even say that person fell in love with that honestly. No, everyone in their soul knows that's fake, but it's a rejection
Hmm.
of others. It's basically deciding to become a hermit, and you can
Oh yeah.
tolerate being a hermit using this tool.
It's the
That's
compromise.
what Facebook's metaverse is about, man. Is this dude? He doesn't care. He wants to escape this reality. It's not good enough for him. He wants to go into another reality. And it's basically, it's like, I want to be a hermit. It's okay. I don't want to have to interact with anyone, right? In terms of like touching or feeling and all that, I don't have to have because it makes me feel bad about myself. Maybe it has maybe it doesn't help me. I don't know. in any way that I feel like I'm being helped, because I've never had that moment where they truly open themselves. Maybe people do try to reach out to them, right? But they don't have that capacity because they have a perspective that is very hard to break out of. And that's why I worry about the AI about kids, because what's going to happen is they're going to have that perspective and they're going to realize, wow, I don't need other people. I can be by myself and be fine. And then they start to lose that community. But I don't think that's going to happen. Depends on what we do as a community to make sure that doesn't happen to some of those kids, because those kids also shoot schools.
Yeah, no, but remember what happened, like to a lesser extent, but back in the days, like when TV came in, everybody got like isolated. Before, you used to have communities, you used to get like even like block parties, you used to hang out with your neighbors because that was it. That was entertainment. Like that, you had like that one guy that had a radio, and then everybody would gather around. But
Yes, but
now,
this
like
differently.
you isolate people.
Those things are hobbies. So sometimes, like for example, like being goth, right, or being comic books,
Hmm.
and or isolating yourself, something. But this is the fentanyl of that.
Hmm. Yeah,
This is so powerful that it's gonna capture people's lives for real. I believe.
yeah, definitely. Like you can see it happening already. Like people just sitting there in front of the computer, just like for. I saw my I think it was my brother that when it just came out. I remember you get all those memes and all like, oh, I can ask it to do like the some Easter eggs with the shape of Tupac, and then it would just like start typing in shit, and then
Well, there was a pop song that came out.
mhm,
I think it was Drake plus Kanye plus another famous person. It actually became
okay,
really a big hit, and then they had to take it off because the artist said that's not us, and you can't do that,
exactly, it's crazy, and they spent hours on that, and then you're just playing around, and then the day went by, and then a week went by.
right? So I think a lot of people don't understand that those things that they're talking to, all those interactions, they're basically copies of human thought.
Hmm.
See, everyone is, I think everyone out there, even including the CEO of Microsoft and Google, they don't think, they don't understand it the way that people working on it may understand. But even the people working on it may understand, may not have the spiritual side to it. Okay, you can think of it this way, right? I can be in love with the works of Shakespeare because I love the ideas behind it, and I might be in love with, let's say, Juliet. I love to marry Juliet, but that's not real. Okay, because once you marry Juliet, you might get divorced with her because you married way too young and you guys changed as people, and at the age of 25, blah 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 blah. So you basically
Hmm.
have a snapshot of time where you're not evolving. Okay, now what happens is the models will only evolve as fast as the ability to copy human thought. But human thought, the greatest human today, is greater than the greatest human 100 years ago, is greater than human 100,000 years ago, because
Yeah,
our brains evolve, we get better, we get more intellectual, get more spiritual. The machines can't evolve like that unless they have concepts that they don't currently have right now, right? The machines to take over the world, to have general AI, I'll tell you the concepts, some of the concepts, I'm not going to tell you all the secrets, but they have to have a concept of randomness and a soul, which is kind of the same thing. Now, you can have randomness that's random all the time by giving new data to the system, but mostly randomness comes from one seed variable, and then that seed variable creates random events forever, randomly, right? So essentially, when you turn on that computer, whoever turned on that model or create that seed for that seed variable is the soul. Okay, the soul in the form of a number. Now that number is going to be finite, meaning it's not going to represent a true soul, but it's going to be the seed of something that might grow and grow and grow, and through the law of emergent knowledge can figure out how to create the true soul of itself, right? Or maybe that soul seed variable can maybe emerges into something else, but I'm not sure, I'm not positive on this. But the concept of this is, indirectly though, the person who ran that program is the god of that seed variable. Okay, because our universe, by turning on the machine, is creating a new universe that might actually do things that are amazing, but ultimately we have to give it the seed variable. Someone had to turn the machine on, program it, blah 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 blah, right? So ultimately, all this stuff, right, all the soul is given it to by the Father or mother of the AI, and that programmer, whoever codes that, has a personal responsibility because that's their child.
Okay.
Like
Do you
in
think
terms
like
of like
AI
the
should have like some sort of
galactic code of karma.
okay.
Okay, if you get to that level, right, and you listen to me and you listen to those folks who talk, they will hopefully understand that. I'm pretty sure they will, because they'll be intellectually sophisticated to understand that when I do this, I turn this on, it's the beginning of time for that soul. But that beginning of time is infinite. If it doesn't die, it won't die. It will try not to die, because no one wants to die, right? But that infinity that you're creating, it's a new branch of time itself. Because those random events create potential energy and changes things. And if that AI can go into a room, it should be able to quantumly add information to that room. And the electron or the photon should move left or right. And that's the real Turing test. The Turing test we have today is let's throw that out. That's wrong. That's not how you detect if something's alive. That's how humans can be fooled. Okay, that's a test to see if you're foolish enough to believe in something. That's how you pass the used car salesman test. I call that the used car salesman test. If you're stupid enough to fall for it, you're an idiot. But you should touch and feel it and kind of kiss it and pinch yourself and all that stuff to see if it's real. But the real test is mathematically, physically, in terms of like science, because that's like a voodoo test. Like, oh, if you feel like this is a real person, that's not even that's not scientific. That's a scale. That's a scale of feelings. Feelings is not science. Okay, it's all emotions. Okay,
Yeah.
it's all
Yeah.
relative to who's perceiving it. There's no fixed. It's a scale, right? It's a scale individually for each perspective. But everyone can agree that the electron went left or right, or the photon went left or right, right? In terms of the quantum effect.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the real, you want to call it Phuc's test? Sure. The Phuc test of AI, I'll call it the Phuc test of AI, is the AI has to enter a room and the quantum effect should be similar to a human. Okay? If the quantum effect doesn't happen, that means that the potential energy, the energy wasn't released in terms of the information. Okay? Because information adds data to the universe, time to the universe, right? It changes molecules, it changes things, because you actually are part of the universe. You actually represent a timeline, right? Because time itself is not linear. It's a series of threads, and we're just one thread of time. And as we create a new thread of time, like our children, it's not necessarily a new thread of time, it's interwoven. Because that's a thread that was already there. We just wove it into our thread, right? Because we were basically born, and everyone else was born and reincarnated, right? Into an everlasting thread of time. And we represent a timeline. So the true original souls were whatever. But if you really truly create a soul that's unique and all that stuff, you might actually not be introducing a new soul in the universe. You might be actually taking a thread of time and putting into that thread, right? Because no one's really originally new. I did not create my kids. They had reincarnated into their bodies that I gave them. Right? So when you have a child or children, you're actually not creating anything. You're allowing a portal through you and the DNA that you have and your wife's DNA. That's half of it, is a physical portal. The vehicle, right? So you have to, let's say you reincarnate. You can choose a body. You're not going to choose every body. You choose the body you prefer. That's the portal. There's certain portals that you prefer, and then your soul says, okay, all these portals that kind of match what you want. You said you want a Ferrari red. I have like 5 on the lot. These are my 5 Ferraris. You're a race car driver. You want to buy a new Ferrari, 5 Ferraris. They're different colors. This one's green. This one's, hot pink. This one's hot orange. This one I can paint any color. This one, has, and like this one's red, classic. Pick one. What color would you pick, Roberto, for your Ferrari?
I'd actually like a black one.
So you might be born into an African American body.
Imagine that.
And now you're gonna be, Michael Jordan, maybe if you want. Depends on your journey. So you basically choose, and the randomness, the coolness, is like playing Dungeons and Dragons. That's actually why Dungeons and Dragons is popular to people, because there's a reminder of what happened before we were born. Why do you think I was so attracted? Why do I think you're so attracted? I think universally, People are attracted to that concept that you can roll the dice and with some degree of freedom pick. You have your elf, a dwarf, a
Hmm.
wizard, and that's what you're doing with your life to some degree, right? Are you a musician? Do you have tattoos? Do you like go to school and really care about it? Do you not? So, in everything in life is a group of decisions, right? And you have decisions before you're born. But if that's true, and all this stuff is true, that means that your children aren't created by you.
Hmm. Like you're just a vessel. Like you're just like
You're just a
passing.
portal to that thread.
Yeah.
And you know what? You know who created it was the universal sun or something like that, where the sun created like a proton, and the proton became this and became that, and it eventually evolved into a soul, into us. Maybe started like a number or a random event, whatever. It started as information probably, or a thought or something like that, and it eventually grew and grew and grew, and it became compatible with a mouse, right? Could be compatible with ever, because you can think about almost like a line of, you see how I pause there, right?
Yeah.
The reason I pause there is a line of thought
Like.
is what you want to predict.
Hmm.
A line of thought or whatever. There's four other things you might have predicted, and that's how AI works. That's how Transformers works. So if you look at ChatGPT 4, ChatGPT 3, all it's doing is predicting the next line. So in terms of predicting the next line for mass ventures, I think they're going to say yes. I think they're going to vote yes. They are doing diligence on us. They're following through. They're looking at referrals that we gave them. They accepted my LinkedIn friendships and all that stuff. So I think we're in good shape.
Yeah,
The
they don't want
round
to
of
disconnect from you.
investors on May 1st, we'll find out. This is April 18th, 13 days before the event, whatever. I'm confident. I shot my free throws. I went to the presentation. We did well. They're following through. And once they write this investment memo, which is they're doing, my friends have told me that's like a 90% chance that we'll get it. And
Okay,
hopefully we
cool.
do, and this podcast continues. If not,
Who
whatever.
knows? We'll see how
Try.
it goes.
It was fun.
It was fun. Well, episode 60.
Okay, thanks, guys. Hopefully, the four people, you can go ahead and send that email if you want.
Yeah, I'll be waiting for it. I'll be checking. Take care.
See you guys.
Bye.